The Liberal government introduced sweeping new legislation today that it says will strengthen Canada's borders. The bill proposes changes to several laws which will give increased powers to Canada's security and intelligence services, expand the ability to open and inspect mail, allow officials to cancel or suspend immigration documents. Here now to discuss this bill is the Minister of Public Safety, Gary Anandasangaree. Minister, nice to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Nice to see you.
I haven't seen you since your appointment, so congratulations on the new role.
Thank you.
So you shared your new plan with the U.S. Border Czar today, Tom Homan. What did he tell you about what you've presented here?
Look, my conversation with Tom Homan was an introductory call. As you know, I was appointed 3 weeks ago, and we were able to speak today. I advised him that we have a new bill, and we'll be sharing the contents of it with his team. Suffice to say that we had a really good conversation, and we look forward to working with each other.
Are there any indications that this may help get those steel and aluminum tariffs listed, or the fentanyl tariffs, or any of the other sort of trade action that we're facing as a result of what President Trump is concerned about at the border?
Look, we've been working on this bill since the election. As part of the campaign, one of the things that we heard from Canadians is to ensure that we have safety and security and strengthen our borders. And this is a culmination of the commitments we made. It was reiterated in the throne speech. And today we were able to introduce a bill that essentially looks at several elements of the border, as well as including 7 different departments. So it's somewhat of a comprehensive bill. In part, it responds to some of the concerns of the U.S., but of course, it also responds to what Canadians gave us, the mandate they gave us on April the 28th.
So was there any indication, though, from Tom Homan that he might be willing to get the president to move on tariffs as a result of what you're putting forward?
As I indicated, this was my first conversation with Mr. Homan, and the commitment we have is to continue to work together.
The president, as you know, is very much concerned about fentanyl. And, I was looking at the data from the U.S. Customs and Border Protection today, and it's really not much. I mean, we kind of talked about this when the initial tranche of tariffs were introduced about how little fentanyl was actually being seized at the U.S. border. Well, that pattern has continued in the months since. I mean, we are looking at 12 kilograms of fentanyl seized right now, 12 kilograms, compared to the southwestern border, where there is 3,400 kilograms. So 12 compared to 3,400. What more can we tell Donald Trump to make him understand that Canada really isn't a major source of fentanyl and that the tariffs, as a result of that, are bogus?
Look, I think we've said from the outset that the downstream movement of fentanyl is really not a lived experience for many. The numbers are insignificant in the broader picture. Having said that, I think we have taken note of the concerns for the safety and security of Canadians. We're strengthening the border with this plan. This includes a number of measures, including the ability of CBSA, for example, to inspect goods that go out of the country. Right now, the law says that CBSA could inspect both inward and outbound, but this enables CBSA to say if you're a port of entry, if you're a port, say Port of Montreal, we can ask that they provide space for outbound inspection. And these are measures that will, again, strengthen the border in different ways. On car theft, for example, as they flow through to different parts of the world, we're able to have greater inspections and greater enforcement.
Did you remind Tom Homan, though, about these stats? I mean, 12 kilograms. That's their own figures. That's what their own U.S. federal government is saying was captured at the border so far this year. It's very small. Like, is Tom Homan aware of that?
JP, I just want to say that I'm building on the work of Ministers LeBlanc and McGuinty. LeBlanc is right now in Washington. There's been a great deal of conversations, and I'm very confident that we have made the best case possible for Canada. What is important for us is 2 things. One is, of course, to address some of the concerns the U.S. have brought forward. For me today, it was important that I establish a relationship with Mr. Homan. But equally important is the safety and security of Canadians, and that's what we're doing today.
Yeah, I want to jump on that point because obviously we're trying to address Trump's concerns, but we have reasons to be concerned about what's coming into this country too from the United States. I did some reporting on this a few few weeks ago, and we can put the graphic up on the screen to show our audience some of these numbers. I mean, we actually seized more illegal drugs coming into Canada last year than what the U.S. seized coming from this country. Canadian border officials captured 8,300 kilograms of drugs coming from the U.S. last year. The Americans seized 5,300. So we actually have more reason to be concerned about the Americans and what they're sending us than they do about what's coming from our country. How does this bill that you've just introduced today address not only Trump's concerns, but also the concerns that many people in this country have about what's coming from the U.S.?
And this is a great point, right? So one of the things we have done is a very ambitious plan to secure the border, $1.3 billion, which will enable us to hire 1,000 more CBSA officers, 1,000 more RCMP officers to patrol the border in greater and give it greater scrutiny and enforcement. We will be investing in new technology, drones, and other technology that will detect the movement of whether it's people or goods that may be illicit. The other piece we're doing is honing down on transfers of money. So we're doubling down on FinTrack, for example, and enforcements around free flow of cash that often are used by criminal gangs and criminal enterprises that essentially go across the border. So we are strengthening tools for law enforcement to enforce and to deter the greater movement of illicit goods across the border on both sides.
And does that include firearms? Because that's obviously a major concern as well. 9 in 10 crime guns used in Toronto last year came from the United States. I mean, that's obviously a major source of problems, course. Right? That's something that you're attentive to. Of course,
and I was in Cornwall 2 weeks ago, saw firsthand the work of our K9 unit who are at the border, also our Marine as well as our Black Hawk helicopters that are making an impact on goods that are going across. And of course, for us, the ability of law enforcement to take the information that they have and to be able to enforce these laws are so critical for us.
A big chunk of this bill is dedicated to asylum seekers, dealing with asylum claims. And as you know, there's been a large increase in the number of asylum claimants in this country. I think in the first few months of this year alone, we're up to 40,000 folks have claimed asylum in this country. That's nearly triple what it was only 10 years ago. So we've really seen a sizable increase in the number of people coming here claiming asylum. What in this bill will address that, will help get that under control, if you will?
Look, there are three major elements to the bill that will, first and foremost, as part of the Safe Third Country, if somebody makes a claim from an irregular, who came through an irregular port of entry, if they make a claim after 14 days, they're right now deemed to be eligible. We're making it ineligible for that person to make a claim because we know that that loophole has been gamed by a number of parties. Secondly, for those who are in country for over a year, they're barred from seeking asylum because it really means that if you're here within the first year, you have to make the claim. If you're unable to make it, then you're ineligible. However, on both cases, we have safeguards that are built in place that will essentially ensure bona fide refugees are able to get status at some point and get protection. The other element of this is making the IRB more efficient and streamlining the application process. So they have the ability to process up to 70,000 applications a year. But because of inefficiencies, they don't process as much, and we're making it mandatory for the file to be complete before it goes to the IRB. So there's a number of very important border measures, including suspension of travel documents, including temporary resident permits, that will embolden the Minister of IRCC to take action where she sees fraud or where there's irregularities or there's some kind of a cyber glitch or cyber attack. So we have some increased tools that we can be used to ensure our immigration system and refugee protection system is strengthened.
Your government just lost a vote last night in the House on an unrelated matter, but it does raise questions about whether you have parliamentary dance partners to get some of these things done. Have you received any indications from the other parties that they're willing to support this bill?
JP, my expectation is that all parties should support this bill. Many talk to us and during question period ask us a number of questions relating to whether it's fentanyl or guns or other type of violence. It is directly linked to the border, and we expect every party to support this bill. We just introduced it today. We're looking forward to a debate, a robust debate, but ultimately, for those who care about the safety and security of Canadians, there should be no doubt that this bill should go through.
All right, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much to the Minister of Public Safety, Gary Anandasangaree. Appreciate you coming in, sir. Nice to see you.
Thank you.